But moving on to a team that's made very, very subtle moves, but very interesting moves. The Mayhem. They got OG, Slime, Checkmate as their new additions.
Yeah, I think
honestly,
looks great.
It did look good.
Again, I think kind of a sleep. It feels weird saying a sleeper team, but I really don't see a lot of people talking about Mayhem as like a good team. I think it's maybe it was even a weird take, mentioning this before. Like, I think Florida's better than Dallas, and I've kind of felt that way since.
I could see that.
Yeah, I think Florida's just like kind of head and shoulders better than Dallas, and it's
their coaching.
Not close.
He's better than Rush. I mean, it's just something.
I mean, definitely with the
it's something with Florida's culture that just rejuvenates players. Okay, not in the beginning. We don't talk about those first 2 years, but
no, I knew to talk about those first 2 years. That's gonna be my.
Oh, we know. No. Those were dark times.
We don't talk about that.
But
those were not good.
Slime is just
Slime's great.
Slime just like kind of got like, oh yeah. Who's this Slime kid? Oh, he played in GOATs. He was like a top 5 MVP candidate.
Oh, what's that? We never saw him in the finals at all. No, did we? Yeah.
Yeah, but
Toby was in there. Yeah. So this is hopefully some more time for him that he can flesh out
season.
What we've been sorely robbed of because of what happened in Vancouver last year. Implosion number 2, we're going to talk about still very close to something that's a bit suspicious here. But Florida and Dallas share the same problem. They share the same problem coming into this year, that they set out to be the very thing that they plan to destroy. If we're talking about a European Florida Mayhem team back at the beginning, and then mixed roster team that didn't work out, that just bin it all, and last year we got our all-Korean roster that was convincing enough.
Yeah.
You would definitely put them in top 4 contention in NA. Would you be able to do that again?
Actually, yeah. I think they're my number 3 team. I think they're going to be better than Dallas. I think they're going to be better than Washington.
I think they'd just be below middle, in my opinion.
You think Florida's below middle?
With OG
they're the gatekeepers, I think. They were gatekeepers to me. No,
the gatekeepers last season were Atlanta.
Yeah, I could say that they were definitely gatekeepers, Atlanta. Florida, I think, is the new gatekeepers because of the new talent that's in here.
Do you think
it's pretty stacked?
What's your gatekeeper? Like, what rank is your gatekeeper? Like 6? Where would you like?
It would be 6. It would be right in the middle. So they'd be riding at that peak. It's like, if you can.
You are not high on this team, aren't you?
If you can break OGE to pieces, and if Gangnam Gym and Slime are the only redeeming qualities that, for me, Checkmate's a bit of an unknown. I think they're from Oz Gaming.
Oh yeah, that's a bird that I'm gonna
Oz Gaming signings have
throw my hands
very
up there as well.
sporadic.
I don't have a clue.
I need to learn more about Checkmate.
Yeah,
it's because
constantly forget he's on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, good on Albert, and the little tease he had on the whiteboard when they had the Valiant Winter Ball for playing against Atlanta. A bit of Pelican was featured in that. I believe it was just Gladiators. They looked much more convincing.
They had ping issues as well, I believe.
So we can factor that they will now have to work with the ping, battling against teams like London in London. EU
I mean, London's going to be the one suffering on the ping. Which, I mean, when we get to that, I think it's a really shitty situation that they have to go through that. But
yeah, well, not
I mean,
so.
I think
shitty for London.
Cookie's going to shove some new life into OG. I think Cookie is the coach OG has needed in his career. Arrow wasn't cutting it. Deepay, I've never been high on Deepay. Cookie is the coach, and Gargle is the tank that OG's needed in his life. BQB Yaki, probably one of the most underrated. Like, you don't really no one talks about BQB and Yaki. Like, and then when you mention their names, like, oh yeah, BQB and Yaki are so good. Yeah. They're so good.
They're definitely up there.
Gangnam Jin's one of the most bloodthirsty support players. And Slime is consistency when he gets to play. this team is going to be very good, and I don't see them as gatekeepers.
So
what about you, Vol?
I think they're easily monthly title contenders. I obviously Shock is the go-to, but even then, I do sympathize with the narrative that maybe it's time for Shock to kind of they're going through another kind of roster turmoil. Players retiring, dropping. How well can Krusty facilitate such a big roster? Obviously, some of the best in the world still remain on the roster, so you can't not remove them from the throne. But I think that gap is as close as it has been in a long time. So I definitely think Florida is grabbing the coattails.
Being harmed by the success, honestly, when you compare the Shock with anyone else.
I think it's kind of like I think there's like between 1, 2, and 3. I think there's like a slight cutoff. Like my top 3 teams are Shock, Gladiators, and Florida. Okay. I could honestly see Glads being better. I could see the Glads being worse than Florida. I could see Florida being better than the Glads. It's just, I think the make or break player for this team is OG.
Yeah,
he is the make or break.
He is very.
We all know what Gargoyle, BQB, Yaki, Slime, and Gundam Jin can do. But what can OG now do? He has everything he could ask for at this point.
Yeah.
So his pool is fantastic. So you wouldn't need another main tank. The only problem being the dependence on OG on many criteria play well, or at least try to see where you can get peak OGE in this roster, and whether or not you have enough faith in the coaching to really click with just OGE. I want to see some more BQB and Yaki, for sure. I don't think there's any problem with this roster actually on the surface. That I can't see them going all the way to the top because there seemed to be some kind of main melee drop that I don't know if they can fix with this until I see something really during the regular season.
I do agree that after the main melee they looked a little they looked more up, but they had their downs.
I think they definitely peaked during the main melee. I think they were definitely early to the Tracer Ashe meta and running that. So I think not only were they ahead, but it was a meta that they kind of excel at. Obviously, having Yaki and somebody like BQB, form extremely well. So like it was kind of a stars align thing. But again, I still think at least a top 5 team. I think Washington is definitely in the mix and that kind of top spot area. Again, maybe not necessarily directly challenging somebody like the Shock, but within that top 5, just like how we had last season, where it was Florida and maybe Valiant coming in and battling that top 5 seed is going to be a tough and very, very tight race this season. There's quite a few teams that, at least have arguments.
Yeah. And I think that's all I have to say about the Florida. I think they're going to be good.
Yep.
I think it just depends on how OG and Slime decide to perform this season.
For sure. I think this is basically OG's like the decider year. Like we've seen promise from him before, but every roster that he's been on really has been kind of disappointing, if I'm going to be kind of blunt. So if this doesn't work out, then I really start to question, like, you keep bopping around. Even this roster doesn't necessarily work out. Again, hypothetically speaking, I'd be pretty disappointed in that. I don't think that will be happening, but I think that's a storyline to kind of follow.